Welcome back. Oh my goodness, life is hard, isn't it? And if somebody says it isn't, well, they're probably selling us something, aren't they? And how do we know that it's hard? Well, we use comparison. We say it was this hard before and now it's this hard. Or it was this hard before and now it's less hard. And we say, okay, it's less, so now it's good. And now it's more, and so now it's bad. And so we use that comparison, and it's very arbitrary, isn't it? Because we're just using comparison. We're just comparing one thing to another, right? So it's very subjective. So you can look at somebody's life and you can say, oh, that person, they're probably having a great time. Everything's a breeze for them because you're comparing yourself to them. But they're comparing themselves to something else, and they might actually be having a difficult time. We never quite know all of the story. And so it's good to stick with our story, try and better our own story. And to do that today, I wanted to talk about transcendence. And so there's actually 5 things I want to mention that we can use to transcend our current situation. And all of this has to do with a story about Ashokji, my guru, and Bliss, and how he yelled at me. So let's get into it. So I wrote to Ashokji an email, and I said, well, I'm trying to understand the bliss that you have guided me towards. You said, don't worry about energy. Concentrate on bliss and concentrate on consciousness. Put your focus on that. And I did, and I started getting lots of different kinds of bliss. And so I listed them out. I think I had about 6 or 7. I could probably still find the email. And so I listed all those out, and he actually called me up. Ashokji called me up and he said, and he laughed. He goes, so you're getting lots of bliss. And we both laughed. And then as I was in the conversation with him, I was trying to describe what bliss was like. And I was trying to say that, it didn't have a reason. And so I told him, it doesn't have a cause and an effect, right? I'm not stuck in the dualistic process. And I said, I feel happy with no reason. And he yelled at me. He goes, no, 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 no. No, it's not happiness. It is bliss. What you are describing to me is bliss, and it is not happiness. And I'm like, well, I was just trying to explain. He says, okay, but don't use that word because happiness is dualistic. So if you have happiness, then you have sadness, right? We're back into this comparison, this up and down, the delusion of Maya, right? The dream world that we find ourselves in. And bliss transcends those, right? That's what he wanted me to know. And he was so passionate about it that he yelled at me. And I'll never forget. So I want to talk about that transcendence and give you more examples, because sometimes we don't know what that quite means, this transcendence. But you're going to see it today. I think you're going to see it very, very clearly in these 5 different modes of transcendence. So first of all, life is hard, right? And there are some basic things that we need. And we are very preoccupied with those, right? We need shelter. We need food, we need sustenance, we need security and stability. And all of those have to do in our psychology and our physical reactions in the lower 3 centers, the lower 3 chakras, all right? So the earth, water, fire, chakras, right? So the first one is about possession. It's about gaining that place to sleep and that place to live. The second one is very sensual. It has to do with food. You have to sustain yourself. You have to sustain your family. And then from there, you try and get security and stability. And that has to do with your fears. And the fear center in the body is the 3rd chakra, right? We know it connects to the right amygdala. I talk about that quite a bit, don't I? The last training, I talked about that a lot, didn't I? And so it's very, very meaningful. Those three chakras at the lower end of the nervous system are designed to set us up with our basics. And so if those are lacking, it's going to bother us, right? Shelter, sustenance, security, stability, all of those are built into the lower chakras. And so they're very, very important. And our grasp of those is going to fluctuate. And because of that, we are going to be either happy or sad. We're going to have happiness or sorrow. And that's the ups and downs of life. And sometimes we get frustrated with those ups and downs, right? Why does it have to be this way? Why do we have to have the ups and downs, the peace and the war? Why is this? Well, it's the movie of life. And of course, a movie takes light and dark. Yogananda loved to say this. The movie of life has to have the light and the dark, or there's no picture show, right? The story itself demands the trial and error of life. Think about your favorite movie. I love movies. I love the story inside the movie because it's all about transcendence. We are watching the hero transcend his circumstance. The most important part of his life becomes the story that we watch. And we love it, don't we? But imagine you sit in front of your favorite movie, and instead of the great story that you love, it's nothing but butterflies and roses and rainbows and unicorns, the whole movie. And all the story is wiped out. How long will it actually hold your attention? Think about it. If you watch a movie and it's just rainbows and roses and money floating down from heaven, how long is it going to hold your interest? There's no ups and downs, right? There's no story. There's no overcoming. There's no hero. It's the trial that makes the hero. And that's what we love. That's what resonates with us. It captures our heart and it captures our mind because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be a hero in my own life, right? And so if there's no light and dark, it denies us that opportunity. And it denies the story that we know is what really life is all about, that hero's journey. We know that somewhere deep inside, and that's why every movie and every story is about that. So that's just the way life is. It's light, it's dark, it's up, it's down. That's how it goes. How do we transcend it? Well, Bliss transcends it. But what is that? We don't talk a lot in our society about bliss, right? How many times did you hear about, well, I'm after bliss? How many times have you heard that? If you tell that to your friends, well, I'm not worried about happiness, I'm going after bliss, they're going to go, oh my God, Forrest lost his mind. He's turned into a crazy person, right? Because they don't understand. They don't have a framework of yogic thought to put that in. They don't have that little box to put the thought in, right? So it just won't make sense to them. And that's how it is for us a lot of times. We don't know what bliss means. But you know what laughter means, don't you? And no matter what your circumstances are, good or bad, up or down, it doesn't matter. You can still laugh, right? You can still watch a hilarious movie and laugh, belly laugh until your gut hurts, right? You can do that. You can scroll through Facebook until you find something funny and just laugh your head off, right? That is transcendence. Do you see it? It's transcendence. When you laugh so much that it takes you out of the funk that you might be currently in, right? The up or the down, we don't know. Whatever it is, if the laughter lifts you out of that and you just laugh your head off because it's hilarious, you have transcended in that moment. Love. I'm sure we've all been in love at some point. Maybe it was your wife, maybe it was your girlfriend, maybe it was your firstborn child. You've been in so much love that the whole world evaporated to you. You couldn't care. Nobody could ask you anything. You were in love and the whole world was gone. You are on cloud 9 because you had transcended. You see, you lifted up and you transcended in that pure love. Maybe it was a crush, but it was still love and it still pulled you up and you were on cloud nine, right? And you transcended in that moment. You transcended the ups and the downs, the positives and the negatives, the happiness and the sorrow. It was above that. And that's why we all love love, right? We all love the love story. We all recognize love. We all bow down to love. We love love because it is transcendent. And it's one of the easiest ways to get into bliss. Is kind of hard. What is that? We don't know what that is. But love, we know that one, and we can use it to transcend. One of my favorite psychologists, Viktor Frankl, he mentioned meaning. So he was in a concentration camp. He was locked up in a concentration camp in Germany. And he looked around at the people that were really surviving and thriving. There were very few, but they all concentrated on the other person. And they had made their life and their psychology about others, about serving, about helping. And it gave them meaning. It gave them meaning. And that's what Viktor Frankl noticed, is that meaning will lift you up and transcend. You will transcend your current situation if you have a purpose. Maybe you're taking care of your family. Maybe you're taking care of your kids. Maybe you're taking care of your parents. Maybe you have a goal in life and it gives you meaning and it lifts you up out of the positive, the negatives. You can go through almost anything if you have a purpose. If you don't have a purpose, one little bump in the road can be catastrophic. But if you have a purpose and you're so absorbed into that purpose, it will lift you up and you won't even notice the little stumbles and the little falls that are natural in life. Meaning is magical. And number 5, gratitude. Oh my goodness, I love gratitude. There are a lot of different ways that we can practice gratitude, and you should go ahead and practice the way which is most meaningful to you. But the one that I love, which is very simple, that's why I like it, it's very simple and easy to remember, is look around you. I mean, look at, we're talking through a video, through light waves, which are called fiber optics. I mean, it's like we're a wizard. I send text on my phone to people on the other side of the earth, and it's like I'm doing a magic spell. You know, you go back 200 years and you tell somebody, "But well, I'm texting somebody." You're doing what? I'm talking to somebody on the other side of the, you're doing what? Are you a wizard? That's crazy. You're not doing that. But here we are today, with shuttles going up into space and landing back down. I mean, it's just crazy. The amount of things that we have to be thankful for today are so numerous that it overwhelms us and we take them all for granted, which is the left brain, right? The left brain codifies everything. Okay, this is a TV and this is a video camera and this is a YouTube and this is, you know, categories. It just, okay, that's it. Now everything's a label and we don't take it for granted. And so when we begin to say thank you and think about it, just open up to it a little bit. What are we using? We're using the right hippocampus. And when we use laughter and love, what are we using? We're using the left amygdala. So what are the most important parts of the deep brain? The right hippocampus and the left amygdala. What happens in a union with the divine, with the higher self? The right hippocampus and the left amygdala. What happens in a non-dual experience? The right hippocampus and the left amygdala. What happens when we have a divine experience of the higher self speaking to us? The right hippocampus sending the knowing across, and the experience of the left amygdala being blissed out, being loved, being accepted. These are the deep brain processes, and we catch them with our laughter. We catch them with our love. We catch them with meaning and gratitude, and we pull ourselves up. The deep brain processes pull us up out of the funk of the lower 3 centers, right? That back and forth, that left and right, that up and down, that dualistic processes of the lower, which are necessary, right? We need those, right? I need shelter. I need sustenance. I need security. And yet I don't want to be so overly involved in those that it drives me, that I stay like this in the funk all the time. All the time. That's not good, right? We need to be lifted out with laughter and love and bliss if we can find it. Yes? And we need to be lifted out with meaning and gratitude. So these are 5 hacks that we can use to pull ourselves up into the upper nervous system and experience more of that bliss of the left amygdala and the meaning of the right hippocampus, the meaning and the knowing. So no matter how turbulent and horrible life becomes, which is dualistic, it's always, a comparison. No matter how bad it becomes, we can always lift ourselves up. And that is the miracle of the upper nervous system. It's not going to necessarily solve everything. It can help. Sometimes just getting lifted up, we see things more clearly. And that will solve the riddle of those lower 3 centers sometimes. Sometimes the higher self will guide us and push us through to a new level of security and stability and sustenance and shelter. But more than anything, what is so important is being lifted up enough that we don't live in the funk, because it's a horrible way to live, of course, right? And so invite yourself with love and laughter and meaning and gratitude and bliss. Invite yourself into the upper nervous system as often as you can. And how do I practice bliss? Practice the cute baby meditation. Lots of people like to use their dogs. So I keep hearing about, I'm using the Chihuahua meditation and I'm using my puppy dog meditation. That's great. I love it. So you made it your own, and it's pulling love, it's pulling bliss from the left amygdala, and you are getting lifted up. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? So I hope that you love this. If you did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you next time.